Good afternoon, students. I welcome you all to today's Jataka story class. I hope so all of you are doing well. So today's topic is children, an angry prince. So we are going to continue with the same chapter that we had started last week. So everyone get ready with your books. Today the date is 10th of September and the day is Friday. So everyone turn to page number 50 so that we can start with today's class. So let's get started with today's class. Before we start reading the story, let's quickly recapitulate what we had learned in our last class. So, this story is about Bodhisattva who was born in a very learned family. He was sent to Takshashila University for learning the Vedas and various arts. So, Takshashila University is the world's oldest university. He returned as a learned man. He helped his parents in household work and shared his knowledge with others. After the death of his parents, he went to the Himalayas for meditating. After attaining or after getting wisdom and compassion, he came back and helped the people around him. He led a life of an ascetic. He led a very disciplined life, okay? He roamed around with a begging bowl. So he led a very, very simple life, and whatever he got after begging, that only he cooked and he had for his meal. One day he entered a garden of the king. The king was moved by his modesty and gave him shelter in his palace and paid due respect. So when the king saw the ascetic, he was very impressed and he requested the ascetic to stay in the guest house that was there in his garden. So let's get started now. So everyone, I hope so you all have already turned to page number 50. So let's get started with today's class. Now here you see children, the king had an 18-year-old son. Despite being well educated, he was an angry and arrogant man. He humiliated people. The king was very unhappy with his son's behavior. His unworthy son would be the heir to the throne. The king is supposed to treat his people with love and care like his own children, but his son had opposite traits. The king was much worried about him. During one of his visits to the ascetic, the king. So children, let's quickly check out the meanings, okay? So arrogant means rude or ill-behaved. Unworthy means someone whom we don't want to give respect. Humiliated means to insult or disrespect someone. And traits means characteristics or quality. And here means a person who takes over the property and the kingdom after the death of their parents. That is the meaning of here. Okay, so here you can see that the king, he had an 18-year-old child and he was well educated, but he did not know how to behave. He was very, very ill-mannered. He didn't know how to behave with others, how to treat others, and he always insulted and made fun of others, and he didn't know how to respect and how to love others. So the king was very much worried about his son's nature and he couldn't imagine that how his son is going to rule the kingdom and how he is going to treat the people of his kingdom when he becomes the king after his death. So the king was very much worried. Now let's see what the king says to the ascetic when he meets the ascetic. So come to page number 51. So the king spoke to him about his son. I am extremely worried about my son's temperament. He is at times so rude to others and is so short-tempered that we all suffer because of him. I would remain indebted to you forever if you please help us improve him. So here the king is requesting the ascetic to do something so that he can bring some changes in his son's behavior. Now here children, temperament means the way one behaves or the way of behavior. Rude means very bad mannered or ill mannered. Okay, indebted means to be grateful for something. So he is asking the ascetic to do something for his son and help him to change his character so that he becomes a better person, and the king says that he will remain grateful to him forever if he is able to help him out with his son's behavior. The ascetic had great confidence in the positive aspect of human nature. He told the king that he would try his best to help the prince. Well, the prince was immediately sent to the ascetic. The king had ordered him to stay there as long as the ascetic desired. The prince was reluctant to leave the royal luxuries behind and live in austerity with the ascetic, but he had no choice. Now, the prince was sent to meet the ascetic, and he was actually forced, you can say, to live a life of austerity. Austerity means a life of self-disciplining and meditation and very simple life without any comforts and luxuries. So he was a prince and he had led a very comfortable life with all the luxuries. Now he was very reluctant, means he didn't want to come out from the palace, and he was not ready to go to the ascetic and to live with him. But he did not have any choice with him, and he had to accept the order given by his father as he was the king. The ascetic welcomed the prince with a smile and affectionately patted him on the head. He held his hand and took him for a stroll in the garden. They saw beautiful butterflies and birds and lotuses and roses. The prince seemed to enjoy the beauty. They came across a small plant near a neem tree. It had only 2 twigs and a few tender leaves on them. The ascetic pulled one leaf and asked the prince to chew it. As soon as he crushed the leaf between his teeth, he spat it out. He felt like vomiting. So, here we can see that now the prince and the ascetic, they meet one another. And the ascetic is very calm and he is very gentle. And he welcomes the prince with lots of warmth. Okay, he gives a smile and affectionately patted him. Patted means to touch, to give a tender touch with a touch of love. Okay, and affectionately means with lots of love and care. So he treated him very well, and he took hold of his hand, and they started taking a stroll in the garden. Stroll means to take a walk. So they were walking by the garden, and they could see the beautiful butterflies fluttering here and there. They could see the birds flying, and they could hear the sweet songs of the birds, and they could also see the different types of flowers. And what happened? Then they came below the neem tree, and the ascetic, he pulled out a small plant with a small twig. Twig means a small branch of a plant which was tender. Tender means soft to touch. And he just plucked a leaf from there, and he asked the prince to eat that leaf. And as soon as the prince started chewing that leaf, he felt it was not worth eating, and he spatted it out, means he threw it out from his mouth, and he felt like vomiting. He didn't feel good. The taste of the leaf, it didn't make him feel good. Now next, see, why? What happened? Asked the ascetic calmly. Now, after seeing the prince's reaction, he started asking the prince that what is the matter? So why is he behaving like that? Do you want to kill me? Asked the prince angrily. So the prince got very angry. As you know, he is a short-tempered man, and so he became very angry. Of course not. What makes you think so? The ascetic's voice remained calm. So the ascetic remained very peaceful, and he said, no, why would I like to kill you? And what makes you think so? That leaf of the tiny plant was bitter like poison. The prince continued, how dangerous will it be when it grows? It will take many precious lives. I will uproot it right away, so that no one eats its leaves even by mistake. And the prince uprooted the plant and threw it away. So here you see, so after he tasted the leaf of the plant, and after he got a very bad taste in his mouth, so he felt that this plant can be very dangerous, and if anyone eats it, then it might harm them, and it might be poisonous, and it might also take the lives of the people. So what he did, he quickly went and he uprooted the plant. Uproot means to pull up something from the ground. Okay. So precious here means costly or very valuable. So the life of the people, all the lives are very, very valuable. So he was very worried that if anyone eats it by mistake also, it can be dangerous for the lives, because lives are very precious. So he quickly went and he pulled it out from the ground, and he threw it away. Now let's see what happens next. Come to page number 52. So he threw it away. He wiped his hands with his silk scarf. So he quickly cleans his hand with his silk scarf. Scarf is something which you wear around your neck. So he was still angry with the ascetic. The frown on his face showed that he was fuming inside. So he was giving a very, very angry look, and he was not at all happy with the king. So he had a expression of anger on his face. The ascetic was smiling. He led the prince away from that sight. So he took him away from that place. They sat near the pond of lilies. cool breeze and the ascetic's serene face helped the prince to cool down. So the cool breeze, it started blowing from the by the side of the lake, and the calm face and the peaceful face, serene means peaceful face, of the prince helped the prince to calm down slowly. The ascetic started the conversation. The ascetic started speaking. They started talking. His voice was gentle. You are absolutely right, my dear. Any dangerous thing should be nipped in the bud. Nipped means to remove. So if you can find anything that is dangerous, then we should remove it right at the bud, means at the beginning. So it should be removed right at the beginning. I do appreciate your concern for others. Appreciate means when you give respect to someone's view, or when you say something good to someone. So he says that I appreciate your concern. Concern here means when you think about others. Okay, that is concern, when you think about someone else. Here I would like to draw your attention to your own nature. The people of your kingdom are seeing you as an angry and arrogant heir to the throne. They will also uproot you and throw you, just as you did to that plant. So now he is trying to draw his attention. The ascetic is very clever. He is trying to draw the attention of the prince, and he is trying to make the prince realize that his nature is also bitter like the plant which he has just now uprooted. So the people of his kingdom are also watching him, and they are also very much unpleased. They are not at all happy with his behavior, the way he treats others, and they also have got the power of throwing him out of the kingdom, just like the way he uprooted the plant and he threw it away. So I hope so you all understood the meaning which the ascetic is trying to point out. Oh no! Exclaimed the prince. I am the prince of this kingdom. How can anyone dare to do that to me? So he is very arrogant. He is not ready to listen to anyone. So he says, are you mad? I am the prince of this kingdom, and who has got the power of throwing me out? So he is very confident about it. If your presence is unhealthy for the people, if it is going to harm them and make them suffer, then someone from among them will definitely uproot you. So the ascetic is saying that they can find that your nature is not good, you don't know how to behave, and your presence is not at all good for their kingdom. So how do you think that they are going to tolerate you? So anyone from them, they will just uproot you. They will just pick you up and throw you out of the kingdom. Oh, the prince wondered. Now he started thinking. Yes, my child, you should be aware of this. Aware means to be careful. So you should be aware of this possibility. So you should be careful that these things can happen to you. I would like to advise you to uproot bitterness, anger, and arrogance from your mind. So the ascetic is trying to make the prince realize that he should throw away the bitterness, the anger, the arrogance that is inside his mind. Please be good and gentle to others. Make friends with the people around. This change will bring a lot of happiness in your own life, and others will also feel secure and happy. The ascetic did not mince his words. So, the ascetic is trying to make the prince realize what is wrong in his character and how he can change himself and how he can throw these bad qualities out from his mind and how he can become a better person. So he is asking him to throw all the bitterness, all the arrogance, all the anger out from his body and mind, and to become a happy person, to mix with others, to give happiness, and it is only then that he will also become happy. The prince closed his eyes. The ascetic's words had penetrated his mind. Penetrated means it went inside his mind. Each word contained precious wisdom to lead a happy and meaningful life. So all the words that were spoken by the ascetic had very deep meaning in it, and it was something which would help someone to lead a very happy and a meaningful life. The prince realized that the real poison was in his own mind. So he slowly understood. Here arrogance means bad behavior. Mince means to cut something or move from his words. Penetrated means to get inside. Wisdom means to gain knowledge through experience. Okay. So let's move to the last part of the chapter, that is page number 53. So he said that the real poison lies in his mind, which only he could uproot, and this poison, it couldn't be uprooted or thrown away by anyone else, but he himself has to help himself, and only he can make himself a changed person. The prince promised the ascetic that he would be a changed person now. So he understood, he realized the mistake which he was making day by day, and he understood why he was becoming angry, why he was becoming arrogant. So you find here that the real cause was found, and the prince had also realized the real cause behind his haughty behavior, and he accepted the words of the ascetic, and he was ready to change himself. You have achieved something that is so difficult to understand, accept and implement. So the ascetic made him understand and congratulated him, because the prince had understood something which is very, very difficult. So achieved means here that he was successful in reaching to something, or he was successful at reaching something. So implement means to put to work, to put something to work. You are now free to go back to the palace. Please take care of your parents and the people of your kingdom. The prince bowed with reverence and left for the palace. So here reverence means to show respect. So the prince was very grateful to the ascetic for teaching him the true meaning of life, and he joined his hand and he bowed down with respect, and the ascetic ordered him to go back to the palace and to take good care of his parents and the people of his kingdom. So I hope so you all understood the true meaning of this story, and you could understand, and you were able to understand how the ascetic played a very important role in changing the character of the prince, and now he has realized his mistake and he has become a completely changed person altogether, right? And now we are hopeful that he is going to become a changed person and he will lead a very happy life and he will spread happiness around him. So please read the chapter thoroughly. That is going to be your homework, that you are going to read the whole chapter thoroughly and you will also understand the meaning that is there in this chapter. So thank you children for today's class. So we will meet in our next class. Thank you all. Stay safe and stay happy.